You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Nobody sent me pancakes. Like, I really did think that after a week off and promotions with the show with a picture that featured pancakes, someone would send me pancakes. I'm nonplussed about the lack of pancakes for the Hot Takes show. This is, of course, Hot Takes, where we talk about my controversial, oftentimes right, but never agreed with opinions. And you can call in and tell me why I'm wrong. Seems simple enough. So we're going to start that show in just a minute. But first, let me tell you, what's up the internet merch? Newsstand edition merch. The EXP hats. All available over on our merch store. Go to theexplive.com to find that stuff. We'll be right back where we're going to talk about why, once again, everyone's wrong about Henry Cavill. And two other things. We'll be right back. What's up, the internet? I am producer Kyle. How is it going? Welcome back to this, the first Monday after Christmas show episode of Hot Takes. I hope everyone had a good Christmas. I hope everyone got to watch A Christmas Story and that no one had to watch it more than once. This is Hot Takes, a show where we talk about our opinions and how we feel about stuff happening in the pop culture industry. And it's the only show in the experience where you can call in and tell the host how they're wrong. So the way you do that is you call 567-318-6507, 567-318-6507 to call in, talk to me. You go out over the air. You'll talk to everybody else. They'll all get to hear you. And then we'll talk about, what you think, what I think, and we'll come to an understanding or not. Maybe I'll hang up on you. We'll just have to see. It's going to depend on what you say, I suppose. So we're going to start with the controversialist controversy of all. What up, cool gamer? Henry Cavill's out as Superman, and I, for one, am glad. Now, I know Jay is sitting there in his chair right now, bashing his head against the wall. And I know there are other people who feel the same way. But I, for one, am glad Henry Cavill is out as Superman. Not because I think Henry Cavill was a bad Superman. I think Henry Cavill was a nothing Superman. I thought he was fine. He was better than Brandon Routh, but he wasn't as good as Christopher Reeves. He was certainly no George Reeves. But one way or the other, the man is out. And the reason he's out is because, according to James Gunn, they're going to make a younger Superman movie. I find it hard to believe when they say they're going to make a younger Superman movie that it won't be some sort of origin story, an origin of something. Which means you have to have a younger Superman than Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill is old now. Right? Like, he can't play young because he isn't. The thing about your Timothy Chalamet's and your what's his face who plays Spider-Man and some of these actors, they could play young because they are. I mean, let's be real, 25 is not old. But Henry Cavill was. Henry Cavill is. So, we have to talk about recasting. And so the question I have for you, the internet, is who should play Superman? If not Henry Cavill. And there's a number of names. TJ James, exactly. We're going to get to that in a second. But there's a handful of names of people that are being bandied about to play the Supermans. And there's one name that I really like for this role. And it's not a name that I had heard before, and it's not even the name that I think is likely to get it. But there is a kid named Wolfgang Novogratz, who was in he's done some stuff for Netflix, but he really does look like he's got that hair thing going. He's got this thing. There's a name that is more likely to get it that Dan and I talked about last week that I'm not going to bring back up. But that guy is named David Cornsweet, who also very much looks the part. But I think we need to go younger than Mr. Cornsweet. Also, I think if your name is Cornsweet in 2024, 2023, what up, Kenneth? You are going to have to deal with It's Corn, the big lump with knobs all everywhere, which is going to ruin that movie. Who do you think should play Superman? Names have been thrown around like Matt Bomer. Some people are suggesting Jonathan Majors could play Superman from the Superman, what was it? Superman 606 or whatever. The Black Superman, which would be an interesting take to have Kang be Superman. People are suggesting John Hamm, that Tom Welling return. I could get behind a Tom Welling return. What do you guys think about Tom Welling coming back as Superman? It would be nice to see him and Michael Rosenbaum, who is Lex Luthor, or some of the other actors from Smallville come back. I think it would be cool to see them. I don't think they can carry a movie. He is older than Henry Cavill. I think it would be cool. I think here's how I would do it if it were me and I wanted to bring those guys back. You have them play parents of the people of the younger people. You have them play Pa Kent. There's nothing wrong with any of that. I think the reason it's good that Henry Cavill is gone is kind of exactly what TJ James said here. Gunn got hired to bring his vision to create a DCU. Why try to salvage the crap handed to him from others? Exactly. Right? Everyone who's upset about Henry Cavill leaving has one of two arguments that I've heard. He left The Witcher to do this, which we know isn't true, but he left The Witcher to do this, and so he should get to do it. Or he was so good in the Snyder Cut, which I also would contend isn't true. So here's my thinking, and this is where I'm at. He didn't leave The Witcher to do this. His contract for The Witcher was for 2 seasons and then an option for additional 5 renewed every year. So they renewed him for a third. And from the sounds of it, he was being kind of a jerk about it. So he's been let go from The Witcher, essentially. And he's like, I could play Superman. I could play Superman. Well, James Gunn comes in and goes, you weren't that good in the Snyder Cut, bro. And we want somebody younger. Bye. And the whole world went, well, wait a minute. Like they were owed something. But the truth is, we're not owed any of these actors playing any of these roles. None of this can be expected of us. We can't expect expected by us, I should say. We can't expect these studios to, well, we told the fans we were going to get this thing and we were going to bring in this guy. And even though he wants $100 million to play this role and our budget for the movie is only $10 million, we got to do it. No, they're not going to do that. They're going to do what makes them the most money, right? Which means they're going to cast cheaper, younger actors, or they're going to cast actors who want to play the role and are willing to do it for scale. So we're still hanging out here. And the question out to you is this: who should play Superman? So you can call in, tell me who you think should play Superman. 567-318-6507. Jay, play the graphic. Have an opinion you want to share? Call in right now. 567-318-6507 to be on the air. Who should play Superman? You tell me who should be coming back or who should be brought in or who should be cast as Superman. That's what I want to know to get the night started. I'm going to talk about some of the other things that we expect from these studios that I think are bull. And you guys tell me what you think on that one. I think we expect too much from trailers. There's a story going around right now. We're going to get into this a little more in the next segment. Dan and I talked about it a little bit last week. There was a court decision that says studios are responsible when a trailer is used to sell a product, and then the product is significantly different when it's released. I actually don't think we know how good Cavill could have been in the movies. He was in sucked. Wow. Okay. I'm not going to say that last part of that line. I will stick with the movies he was in sucked. I think there's several things there, TJ James, and I'll break them down in just a second. But studios are held responsible when a trailer sells a movie, and then they change the trailer in the movie. So we're going to get into that story here after the break. But TJ James, I don't think we actually can know how good Cavill could have been. It's true, we don't. I just don't want to say that last word, CJ, and I don't think I could say all the other words without stumbling. So
I didn't catch that part when I popped it up on screen.
I think it's a fair assertion. I really do. I just don't think I could say it without like having to take a drink of water after and getting a tongue cramp. They sucked. And so Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice was a movie that made both Batman and Superman look weak because of Wonder Woman, right? You're going to take two of your biggest, most well-known characters, two of your biggest, most well-known intellectual properties, and make them look weak compared to what I would argue is your third most popular property at the time, or third most important property. Is probably fourth most popular behind Harley Quinn at that point. But your third most important property, you're going to make these guys look weak to put her over for her movie. Then you're going to do Justice League. And now I want to say this, and I'm going to give Zack Snyder a pass, and you'll never hear me give Zack Snyder a pass again. If the situation that Zack Snyder found himself in that caused him to walk away from that movie doesn't happen, or if DC can find a way to shelve the profit margin and suck the loss up and let him do the movie the way he intended to do the movie, right? The way he shot the movie for it to be made, I don't know how that movie comes out. I really don't. I don't think the Snyder Cut or what we saw on HBO was the product he had in mind. I think he had to eat some reshoots. I think he had to eat some footage that was probably lost. And I think he had to make the best out of a situation that was Whedoned. And I don't think Joss Whedon understood the idea of the movie either. I don't think he knew what Zack Snyder was trying to do. So he comes in and he gets a script and he goes, okay, I kind of have a vision for this and I can see what he's already done. So I'm going to do my version of this. So now Zack Snyder comes back to make the Snyder Cut and he has to eat Joss Whedon's work. So we have no idea how good Henry Cavill could have been. He was in a movie that was intentionally bad or intentionally bad for him. And then he was in a movie that was bad because of circumstances beyond his control. If you've been in a cursed franchise, walk away. Right? Like, don't be like, I want to go back and play Superman, even though every time I've done it, it has sucked. That's just asking for pain and suffering you don't need. Ed says, I think Thor's brother Liam Hemsworth, I think he's in his 30s, not sure how young they want to go. And then if they want really young, Jace Norman might work. I think they need to go younger than that and cast an infant. I really do think if you want to fully recover the Superman name from the damage that's been done by the last couple of movies, I think you really do have to go all the way back. Hell, I have this fan theory that I really want to see happen, where they don't actually have any of it on Earth. I know that James Gunn has said he'll be in Metropolis, he'll be starting his career or whatever. I think that's a mistake. I think you do the story of Krypton. It's baby Kal-El on Krypton with Jor-El and his mother, whose name I can't remember, and all the other L's. Antoine Randall L, if you're a football fan. And tell the story of Krypton and why Krypton matters and why Superman has the powers he has, and get him to Earth. And then figure out what you want to do from there. For years and years and years, we had every Batman movie under the sun. We had to watch Aunt May. Wow. We had to watch Thomas and Martha Wayne get shot. We had to watch her pearls get stolen. Why should we not? And we just accepted that every time we were going to relive the origin of Batman. Why should we not relive the origin of Batman or the origin of Superman the same way? Every time they make a Spider-Man movie, we have to watch Uncle Owen die. That's wrong. Uncle Ben. Uncle Owen is Star Wars. I just really want to say Aunt Beru. No, we have to watch Uncle Ben die. Because with great power comes great responsibility and apparently a limited script. So for me, retell the origin story. But if you want to do something different, do Superman Red Son. Right? Do something, if you want to do something political, that makes sense here. I just don't know. I don't know that you can find an actor in the current slate of professionals we have working that we know of that can play the role. I think now there's so much vitriol around this that no one you cast is going to be seen as good enough, and that any actor who's not dumb is going to run away from. I would be scared as hell to take this part. Because you know the fans are going to berate you, much like they are James Gunn right now. So, for me at least, it seems to me that the answer of who should play Superman is no one, and that he should spend some time playing Clark Kent. So here's my question. Again, who should play Superman? Who should play Clark Kent? If it were me to write and direct this movie, instead of having a new Superman, you'd have someone powerless. It would be Clark Kent before he figures out how to Superman. Right? It would be that Smallville story, which lets you bring back Tom Welling, which lets you bring back Michael Rosenbaum, which lets you bring back any actor you really want because they could just play people in Smallville. So we're going to come back and we're going to talk about some other Hollywood news, including the fact that if the trailer lies to you, you can sue. and some other DC stuff right after this break. But before we go, Jay, if you don't, I don't know if you have this link. I didn't tell you to be prepared for it, so I will throw it in the comments for you. Our friends over there at Fat Jack's are they're having a tough go of it, guys. I know more than anybody how an illness and some weird economic circumstances can doom a comic book store. It happened to me. I've seen it happen to a lot of people. They're over there working very hard to keep going. And so they have created a GoFundMe account, looking for some help to try and get their bills taken care of and all that kind of stuff to kind of get back on track. I'm helping them with a new website, with some e-commerce stuff. If you have a few bucks, if you have some Christmas money that you think, you know what, I want to do some good with, any donation you can make to help Fat Jacks will be hugely helpful. So link there is there in the comments. We will be back after this with more hot takes. But if you could take a look at that while we're on break, that would be great. Thanks so much. We'll be right back. You know how when you go to Comic-Con, after Comic-Con, you go to the hotel bar, and there's a whole bunch of people playing music and dancing, and you've got Pikachu and Lara Croft Tomb Raider doing the cha-cha slide just down from Deadpool and Batman and Wonder Woman? That's every Saturday night over on the Experience Twitch channel. Join Taji Beats for the EXP Dance Party, exclusively on Twitch, twitch.tv/the_EXP.
You just finished the last episode of your favorite new show, and you just have to talk about it. But all your friends are ghosting you because of that incident last week at the buffet. Oh, you know the one. What you did to that chowder. Ugh. Keeps me up at night. So what do? Join writer Dan Wickline as he breaks down all your favorite pop culture media. Whether it's a review of the latest nerdy TV show or a dive back into the history of your favorite comic characters, Dan's ready to discuss all the hottest topics live. Join the conversation as Dan live streams Tuesday through Thursday at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. The Dan Wickline Show on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
Go follow The Experience on TikTok at @the_EXP1 or scan the QR code on the screen. Our TikTok is like everywhere else we are, except you only have to deal with us for a minute. Seems like a win-win to me. What's up, the internet? Welcome back. This is Hot Takes, the show where we talk about our controversial opinions and pancakes, because Dan decided pancakes. Before we get back into it and talking about other things that have happened here since we were together last, I want to take a minute and plug our show, Talking Shop. Talking Shop is on Mondays at 5 Eastern. What you may not know is Miss Jen interviews these people, but I book the guests. And I've been in here all day booking guests. And can I just tell you, we have some killer guests coming up, including, I'm very excited. We had our first DC guest today, which was a huge thing. Like, we've had other guests from DC, but this is our first, has a DC book out today. And I booked our first has a Marvel book out today guest as well. So, that's coming up later this month. So be on the lookout for that. Ship, what? You have to call in and ask. 567-318-6507. You can call in and ask. All right. So we were talking about who should play Superman, but it kind of leads me to my next topic, which is what is our responsibility in terms of believing what studios tell us? And here's what I mean by that. Like, it's Christian Bale is wrong ship, and I can tell you why, but I'm going to move on to this other thing I want to talk about, which is if a studio tells you something like Henry Cavill is coming back as Superman, how responsible are they to you for that knowledge? And here's what I mean. The announcement was made that Henry Cavill was coming back as Superman, and then he did in Black Adam. It was for one line. It was for about 30 seconds, but he did. There's a story about a young woman who was in the trailer for a movie called Yesterday that was cut out for the trailer, and then somebody went and spent $3.99 to watch this movie and then sued for $50 million. And the court said, actually, yes, you should get that money because the trailer is the pitch for the movie. And because the movie that you saw was the same, it was supposed to be the same movie, didn't include the things that were in the trailer, that's false advertising. That's a bait and switch. That's what they had legal terms. So here's my question, and this is where it goes in this world, right? We had the Avengers trailer where Hulk showed up in the trailer in a scene and wasn't in the scene in the movie. It's an intentional misdirection. We have other instances where I'll give you another, for instance. The Whitney Houston I Want to Dance with Somebody movie, the trailer is using I Will Only Love You. So can we sue because it's not the song they named the movie after? What responsibility do these studios have to holding to what the trailer tells you is in the movie? And how truthful do the trailers have to be to the movie? So give me a call. Tell me what you think. 567-318-6507. I don't think that it's smart to hold a studio to the flames of saying that what's in the trailer is important. I get that some of you, so in the comments, if you're watching, put in the comments, what is the thing that sells you on going to a movie? Is it the trailer? Is it the title? Is it the actors? Is it something else? Tell me in the comments what sells you on going to see a movie. Because for me, a lot of the time, it's not the trailer because I don't watch trailers. It's not the actors because I don't watch trailers, so I don't know who the actors are. A lot of times it has to do with the IP or the concept. So I hear about a movie like Violent Night and I get excited for the concept. I did not know David Harbour was in it as Santa Claus. I didn't know John Leguizamo was in it. I love John Leguizamo. That would have been a selling factor for me, but I didn't know. So I had to go see this movie based on a concept. What is it that sells you on a movie? And then if something, okay, so Ship says, since streaming not much sells him on a movie, I go look at the movie poster and I read the blurb. See? So if you read a movie, if you see a movie poster called Yesterday and it features a guy walking across Abbey Road, and you read a blurb that says it's about a time when the whole world forgot the Beatles existed, you've been sold on the movie and it doesn't have anything to do with the actors or actresses in it. I think the reason I'm bringing this up is there a place in popular culture? Is there a place in our current film society for the intentional misdirection? And I'm going to tie this back into our first topic, right? The who should play Superman topic. I floated a fan theory on the Dan Wickline show that said that Henry Cavill would be back playing Superman, that this whole thing was a ruse designed to lower expectations. Because everyone expected Henry Cavill to be back, Henry Cavill can't come back. Otherwise, if the movie's bad, people will be angry that they made a bad movie with Henry Cavill. If the movie's good, then they have to build everything to what the fans expect instead of building it to what they think is important. And so my question here, right, is if they tell you Henry Cavill is out as Superman, they put out a trailer saying Henry Cavill's not in the movie, and then halfway through the movie Henry Cavill shows up. Is that a bait and switch? Is that the same thing? Is it the same thing if a studio over delivers as under delivers? I don't want to see Henry Cavill as Superman. Can I sue if he shows back up as Superman? What are some other examples? Do you guys have other concepts as to what maybe should be different? What maybe, are there examples of movie trailers or movie posters or other things? Psycho being the famous one, right? That the first name cast, the person who played Norman Bates' mom, was the biggest star in the movie, and she dies 5 minutes in. If you haven't seen Psycho, I'm not going to give you the spoiler warning on that. Like, go see Psycho. But I guess what is our responsibility as fans to be smarter than what's expected of us? Thor Ragnarok. The trailer shows Thor with both eyes after in the movie he lost one. So can you sue a movie studio over Chris Hemsworth's eye? I don't think you can. But again, at what point is it up to us as fans to be smarter than they're giving us credit for here? Right? We have to expect that storytelling is going to happen in whatever form it happens. It is a nice eye. Well, that's true. We have to accept storytelling in whatever form it happens, right? We don't get angry at our comic books when they kill off a character we like. Or maybe we do. But we certainly don't sue Marvel for killing Uncle Ben. We certainly don't sue DC for killing off Thomas Wayne when we're told that he's in those movies or he's in those books. We don't get angry in Flashpoint when we realize that the whole universe is changing in front of us. We don't get angry at any of these events. I can only remember one time this happened, and it was a book called Secret Empire. And in Captain America at the end of the book says Hail Hydra. And Secret Empire turns into this story where it's actually just a triple swerve. Captain America is pretending to be a Hydra agent to get inside Hydra to take down Hydra. It's all these things, right? And people got mad, and the book sold less. So then, is the answer to this, if something happens like this in a movie that you don't like, don't go see it? Where's the line? What is the line? What is our responsibility? What is the responsibility of the studio? And I think we're getting to a point where studios are going to be a lot less likely to play ball with us as fans because we get butthurt about it. And I think that's bad for everyone because now all of a sudden we're not getting any information about, oh, well, we're going to have this actor in this role, or we're going to play, it's going to be set in this time frame. And for a lot of people, that's what sells them on going to see movies, isn't it? So the only person who answered what sells you on a movie is Ship. Ed, I know you're here. What sells you on going to see a movie? Is it the trailer? Is it the poster? Is it a blurb? Is it IMDb? What is it that sells you on going to see movies? And let me know. It's going to destroy teasers at Comic-Con. Is it? Teasers don't show that much anyway. So maybe it will, maybe it won't, but it's certainly going to change the way we see things. So I want to know what you guys think about this. Put it in the comments. We're going to take a little bit of a long commercial break here for just a second. I know it's a little early, Jay. We'll go straight through to the end of the show after this. But we will be right back here on Hot Takes on the Experience right after this kind of long commercial break.
Comic Collectibles is a pretty straightforward show. You got Rex here, he sells the comics, and you got Rockin' Robbie, he knows about the comics. And finally, John, well, no one really knows what John does. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a great guy, but he just keeps showing up. Come to think of it, I don't even really know how he gets in here. Anyway, awesome comics, rare books, rarer signatures, slabbed books, and amazing cover sketches by Ken Hazer and others. Simple formula, you want the comics, you buy the comics. To sum up, Rex sells the comics, Robbie knows the comics, and John, who might possibly be a ghost. I mean, seriously, has anyone ever seen him show up or leave? Comic Collectibles with Rex and John, Mondays from 6 to 8 Eastern on The Experience. Comic Culture and Sales. To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise. A promise of adventure. A promise of excitement. A promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey. And behind every page, there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today.
Welcome back to Hot Takes. What's up, the internet? I am producer Kyle. Thank you for allowing me to take my break a little bit early. If you drink too many of these, you have to take commercial breaks at non-linear times. All right, we're back. We're talking about our unpopular opinions, but I want to do something a little different this segment. We've got about 20 minutes left in the show, so I really do have open phone lines. Y'all can call me and tell me this. So the number is 567-318-6507. 567-318-6507. This is our last show of this before New Year's. New year, new you, new look, new whatever. Like, somebody's going to go to the gym for 3 weeks, and somebody's going to drink more water for 3 weeks, and somebody's going to quit smoking for a day and a half. Whatever. I want to talk about our nerdy New Year's resolutions. Okay? What are we as nerds going to do to be better nerds in the new year? So I'll give you an example of one of mine. I have several, but one of mine is that I'm not going to form opinions on nerdy pop culture until I experienced that pop culture. I'll give you an example. I have not yet watched She-Hulk. I have not yet watched most of the Marvel shows. Anything since Hawkeye of last year, really. The reason I've not done that is that I am 90% sure I'm not going to like them. I formed my opinions before I have experienced the thing. Now, once I watch it, if I don't like it, you bet your butt I'll be on here going, God, that sucked. Or here's what they could have done to fix it. Or here's how it should have been done. Or here's the story they should have told. I'm not going to form my opinions until I see it. Which I try not to do, but I do anyway, you know? So that's one of my New Year's nerdy resolutions. What are some of your nerdy New Year's resolutions? And I'm not saying I'm going to hold you to them. Like, this is not an AA meeting. I'm not going to hold you accountable. I just want to know, like, what are you going to try to do to fill in blind spots, weak areas, things you don't know, things you've not done? I was talking to Jay about this, producer Jay, who's in the background. I was talking to him about it, and he's only ever been to one convention. So his New Year's resolution is to go to more conventions and maybe even cosplay. It's a great resolution, right? To be more active in the community. What are your New Year's resolutions as it relates to pop culture and nerdiness? I have another one. And Dan has kind of started this for me, but it's true. I have always had a preconception about people who play Warhammer 40K. I think they smell like hot pastrami. But I want to learn the game now. I listened to Dan talk to Gabe last week on his show, and it seems like a really interesting game, and I want to learn the game. So one of my resolutions this year is to learn Warhammer 40K. Maybe not start playing, but at least learn the game enough to know more than that the players of Warhammer 40K smell like lunch meat. I'm not saying they all do, but certainly my experience is that they do. I want to start playing HeroClix again, which was a tabletop game that I played when I first started going to the comic book store that I would eventually own. I want to play more D&D. I want to work less and experience more pop culture. What do you guys want to do in the new year? No, TJ, but we'll get to that in a second. Ed wants to sort and index his comics, so he quits buying books he already have 3 copies of and complete some runs where I'm missing 1 or 2, but I can't remember which ones I'm missing. See, that's a short. I don't want to say short because I don't know how big your collection is, Ed, but that's a relatively small goal. Do you want to expand into genres you don't already have? Is there stuff out there? Do you want to read more indies? Is there more to that by doing that you can experience more, Ed? Let me know. TJ James, the Warhammer 40K thing that's why Dan got into it. TJ James says Warhammer 40K, especially since Henry Cavill will be in it. The impetus is the impetus, right? Dan started talking about it, which made me think about it. Dan started talking about it because Henry Cavill is going to be in it. So that's not a bad thing. That's not my reasoning. But it certainly doesn't hurt, does it? It's like I had a friend in high school who started listening to a band that would turn into another band, which would turn into another band, which is one of my favorite bands. It wasn't because I liked that band. It's because my friend liked that band. That got me to listen to them, and I go, okay, I'm interested in this. And now I found out what they are now. So it's whatever your reason is for doing something isn't necessarily. I don't know where I'm going with that. Look, if the only thing Dan Wickline ever makes me learn is Warhammer 40K, then I will consider myself lucky. And whatever his reason is for doing it, I'm good with. What else? Do you guys have other nerdy New Year's resolutions? If not, we could talk about some other stuff, but I wanted to give you guys a shot to really kind of call into the show and talk through some stuff, right? Nerdy New Year's resolutions. But I think we should make some, right? As fans, it's our responsibility, I guess, to broaden our horizons as nerds and as fans of pop culture, to continue to take in pop culture and to expand those horizons. So I want to encourage you guys to do that, to make a nerd specific New Year's resolution. If that's go to the gym so that you can walk at Comic-Con without getting tired, good for you, man. But while you're doing that, why don't you figure out how to cosplay too? Ed says to sort his books, he has about 30 short boxes, so it takes some time. I'll probably find some runs of books I forgot I never had. So I hope by sorting them, I'll discover gaps and know where I need to go without always guessing. TJ, I resolved to find a new binder to do more custom binds of series. Nice. I like that idea. Creating your own trade paperbacks and stuff. I like that idea. Our friend Mark from Nerd News Now, he said he wanted to consume more anime. Jay's going to try to not let his emotions. Jay, I'm going to encourage you. Adopt a Mr. Spock attitude. The fewer emotions you have, the better. All right. The last thing I want to talk about for today's show is a story that I'm kind of hung up on. And it's this idea that certain actors and actresses don't get recognized for the good work they've done. And here's what I mean by that. Because she's in Shazam 2, Dame Helen Mirren is getting her first action figure. I know, first world problems. But for me, it got me thinking about, okay, Helen Mirren had to play a superhero to get an action figure. Who should we be making action figures of? Who doesn't have one that needs one? What actors and actresses would you like to see action figures made of? And what stories would you like to see those action figures from? Having a conversation again earlier with Jay. Sissy Spacek as Carrie from the movie Carrie, covered in blood, prom scene. I think that would be a great one. He was thinking, her from Coal Miner's Daughter, which you could just do multiple heads. Are there actors and actresses who we haven't seen action figures made of that we need action figures made of, and who are they? Or is there a better way outside of award season, outside of giving these movies awards, outside of nominating actors and actresses for things, outside of obviously money and box office credibility? Are there better ways to recognize the actors and actresses we love in the product they make that we love? What should that be, right? Is there a better way than an action figure? Is it posters? Is it other kinds of merch? Should we all, like my best friend, have a pillow on our couch with Steve Carell's face on it if we like The Office? I'll be honest, it's a creepy pillow, but it's pretty funny. Because if you go, it's like a sequence on it. If you swipe up, it's just regular Steve Carell as Michael Scott. If you swipe down, it's Prison Mike from that episode. It's a pretty cool pillow, I'll be honest. Before I worry about who needs an action figure, I want them to make affordable action figures. If action figures were 50 to 80 bucks when I was a kid, I'd never had a toy. Well, I mean, there are still affordable action figures, Ed. There really are. I mean, Marvel Selects are not that expensive. Same with the DC DC Universe action figures. They're $20 to $25. Your bigger ones are more expensive, obviously. But the higher end action figures, the higher end thing you collect, the more expensive they are. I collect Mezco 112s. So those run me about $100. But in every one of them, I'm getting multiple sets of hands, multiple faces, posable things. They're meant for a higher quality display than to be played with like I played with my G.I. Joes as a kid. Right? My G.I. Joes took a beating. I can't tell you how many G.I. Joes, came near death because somebody gave me a firecracker. I would never do that with a Mezco or with a sideshow figure or a hot toy. But I look at my office, and you guys can't see it from here, but I've got a wall of action figures, and none of them cost more than $25, $30. So I think this idea that action figures are too expensive is a misrepresentation. I think the problem is that as adults, we expect a higher quality action figure for a lower quality price. And that ain't how that works. The WWE and AEW action figures, wrestling action figures, aren't that expensive. They also aren't that great, but they're fine for what they are. If you're going to throw two action figures at each other and pretend they're professional wrestlers, they're going to be great for that, but they're not going to be great for posing and taking, 2,000 megapixel photos of. So it's a you get what you pay for kind of thing. So back to my original question, is there a better way to show actors and actresses that we appreciate the work they're doing or celebrate them for the work they're doing that isn't an action figure? And if so, what is it? And if it's not, then who should we make an action figure of? Last call for calls. You have about 2 minutes here. 567-318-6507 if you want to call in. Guys, I see you out there. I appreciate TJ James. I appreciate Ed. I appreciate Ship. I appreciate Jay being here. I will tell you this. This show will get stronger and get better if you all call in. The benefit to this show is that we can have a real conversation like you see Dan and I have all the time. But we can have it, you and I. Comments are great in the chat. I really appreciate you guys being in the chat. Don't get me wrong. But talking like this will only make the show better and stronger. So, take a chance, make a call. I didn't mean to quote Michael Jackson there, but that's how that goes sometimes. No, Ed, $20 or $25 is $20 or $25 in today's money is what $5 was 25 years ago. I mean, you have to remember that money is worth less now. When I was a kid, I could buy a bottle of pop for 50 cents. Now it's $1.25. And it's really not. It's $2.50 at any carry out. So you got to remember that $20 or $25 is just today's money. What $5 to $7 was before. And that's just a factor of it. My 2-year-old nephew has more money at 2 years old in his bank account in the $3 my parents gave him for Christmas than I had at 5. So it just makes sense that the price of these things would go up because money is worth less. You can't get the same thing now that you could then. And I don't want this to turn into a "Hey, you kids, get off my lawn" segment. But I mean, that's just how it is. So, I appreciate everybody for being in the comments tonight. Ed, Jay, TJ, Ship, Kenneth was here, Cool Gamer, everybody. I really do. Like I said, we'll be back next week with new topics and more stuff to talk about. And again, if you guys call in, the show is just nothing but all the stronger for it. Tune in tomorrow at 5 for the Dan Wickline Show. I have no idea what Dan's going to talk about. Sometimes I know, sometimes I don't. But odds are Dan and I will disagree. We'll see what happens. Then at 6 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, Jay, myself, Sean, and Dan will be back, all in various states of hat wearing and beard having, to talk about books that are in stores this week. I do want to take a minute and shout out a book we're not going to get to read for in stores this week, which is Dead Boy Detectives from DC Comics. It's part of the Sandman universe. Make sure you check that one out. We will do that. And then at 7 o'clock Eastern, minute to skim it. 8 o'clock Eastern, Mint Hunter Comics. James will be back for his second show here on The Experience. His first show, his second show here on The Experience. And then tomorrow night, Country Roads is off. Who said anything about G-rated, Ed? Also, I got a button over here that, if you start cussing, I can just cut you off real quick, let you get yourself under containment, and then bring you back on. So it's not that bad. But no, it's tomorrow night's a big night here on The Experience. Wednesday night, JD will be here in my office running shows, so I will be over there Wednesday night in the outer office yelling at JD to say things in chat, which will be super fun. And then Thursday, we'll be back with the Dan Wickline show and stuff on Thursday as well. So make sure you tune in for everything this week. I do want to plug Saturday night's dance party. I don't know if you guys know this, but Brainy Singh of Enjoy Comics and Games in California works very hard as his alter ego Taji Beats to bring you the EXP dance party. He puts together a mix. Oh, Ed, we can get into that. Why don't we? I got a minute. Why don't we talk about that? The reason you can't say the word virgin is because it's a word commonly used by adults who are into a certain... It makes things not kid safe. How do I put it? Let's put it that way. We do that because the censors that are on these platforms look for those words to prevent trafficking of a certain type of person. So by using the word vegan or non-trade dress, or you can say it, you just can't say it a lot. It helps to keep things copacetic with the censors and the back-end robots that watch every show and determine whether or not you violated copyright or whether or not you've done anything that needs you to be demonetized or deplatformed. That's actually why that is. So, tomorrow, 4 shows. The Dan Wickline Show, in stores this week, Minute to Skim It, and Mint Hunter. Wednesday, the Dan Wickline Show. Rex and John will be back with Comic Collectibles. And we'll have our other Wednesday shows like Wednesday Warriors and Pop Go the Writers. I don't know if Dan did a Pop Go the Writers this week. We may not have a Pop Go the Writers. Thursday, the Dan Wickline Show. What's in the Box. And Space Cadets. Friday, I'll be back with Nick for the art show. And we will see everybody then. So thanks for tuning in. This has been Hot Takes, where we've only had lukewarm takes tonight, but maybe they'll get hotter next week. Join the party. Head over to our Linktree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.